You mentioned that you have an 18-month-old little girl who seems to misbehave frequently, and like you said, she runs out in the road and she doesn't listen to you, especially when other people are around, and you can be reassured by the fact that her behavior is actually very normal toddler behavior. Toddlers are beginning to gain a sense of independence, and they like to assert that independence and push limits. And they also lack communication skills, so when they're frustrated or angry, they don't really know how to communicate that in healthy ways, so they just act out. All kids are different. They come with different personalities and tendencies, and they'll respond differently to forms of discipline. But generally speaking, there are a few things that work well for most children. There's 3 different approaches you can take when disciplining. The first is let your child learn natural consequences. For example, if she's throwing cookies on the floor, she'll learn if you don't pick them back up for her that when all the cookies are on the floor, she doesn't have any more to eat. Or if she's throwing toys around and her toy breaks, then she learns that she can't play with it anymore. So eventually they learn on their own that there are natural consequences when they do bad things. The next approach you can take is a logical approach, meaning that when your child does something, there's a logical consequence to certain types of behavior. So if your child doesn't pick up the toys and you've asked them 3 times to do it already, you tell them that you're going to put them away and they won't be able to play with them because they chose not to listen to you. Those are logical consequences associated with certain behaviors. And again, they learn as long as you follow through, and that's one of the big keys, is that there are consequences that you make when they do certain things that you don't approve of. The last approach is withholding some sort of reward or something that the child values in consequence to a certain behavior. But first and foremost, always remember that things the child needs should never be withheld, like food and love, those types of things. But let's say your child has a favorite stuffed animal or a favorite blanket. If they're misbehaving and don't listen to you, then you can take that away. Or maybe they hit someone with one of their favorite toys, then that toy is taken away until they have had some time to think about it, and then you can give it back to them, talk with them about not doing those types of things, and see if they can prove that they can keep that object. Timeout is another approach that you can take, and it's not always effective with younger children, but if you consistently do it, it might start to be more effective as your child gets older. And a good rule of thumb is put them in timeout for as many minutes as they are old. So if your child's 1, put them in timeout for just 1 minute, and 2 minutes, and so on. And so it doesn't have to be long, but for a 1-year-old to sit still for 1 minute is a lot. So pick a certain place in your home. Some people get stools, some people just, put their kids in a corner, make them put their nose on the wall, whatever it is that you choose, as long as it's taking them away from a certain situation and making them think about what they did for a very short amount of time, it's usually effective enough. And if you just say, do you want to go on timeout? A lot of times that would be enough to get them to stop what they're doing. Temper tantrums are very normal, and temper tantrums, like I mentioned earlier, are a young child's response to frustration or anger. And the worst thing we can do as parents is respond by having a temper tantrum of our own. So always remain calm. There's no need for yelling or screaming, but always be firm, and don't give in to your child's requests. Like if you're at the grocery store and they want some candy, but they get down on the floor and start screaming and yelling, don't give in and give them the candy to get them to stop. And eventually this behavior will turn around as they learn that you're not going to give in and give them what they want when they act that way. Reinforce positive behavior, and they'll want to act in positive ways. Kids want attention, and if they're not getting any attention, they'll try both negative and positive ways of getting it, and they'll learn what you respond to most. And so if you're constantly giving them positive reinforcement, they're getting more attention from you that way, negative behaviors tend to disappear. In the end, remember, consistency is key, and forgive yourself. None of us are perfect parents, and we don't have perfect children, and we're all learning and growing together. Best of luck with everything, and if you have any other questions for me in the future, please feel free to ask them on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Intermountain Moms, and recommend us to your friends and family too.